Folks, welcome back to Speed Street. We are a little late, tardy, some would say. It's almost school season. Chase, your kids going back to school. We're a little tardy this week.
Back to school, dude.
That's
they
on
late
me.
$1 short.
Yep, that's on me. I was normally we record on Tuesdays, and I was testing the BMW GT3 car that I will be racing a couple times this year at Road America. So we had a Monday, Tuesday test after the IMSA weekend up there. So I was busy. Excuse me. This hasn't happened often this year, and the year has been crazy. So just a quick little delay, but we have a great show for everyone. I know the show last week was very different. We had a little bit of Olympics. I thought it was cool to hear folks really enjoyed Nikki's interview, my cousin Nikki, about the Olympic Village. I still have watched those clips and I thought it was very funny. I thought it was a great interview. A
lot of people calling for more tailgating tips, more Olympic tailgate tips online.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I was pumped to see people enjoy that. And yeah, I think the Riley Herbst interview, again, was great. So I hope if you guys haven't listened to that, you'll give this one a chance. But we are back to a full IndyCar show today because we have Teddy Chairs with us. Now, I don't know if Teddy Chairs fully understands that we created the name Teddy Chairs for him, but you'll find out. Theo Pourchaire is with us, the driver who drove for McLaren a little bit this year, a driver who is, on the sidelines right now, but a very, very talented young driver. So I think I thought it was a fantastic conversation. So please stay tuned for that. But Chase, how we doing? We're having to go without racing still. Now NASCAR is finally coming up this weekend, which is great, but there's also a hurricane moving towards Richmond. So that's kind of crazy. But yeah, how we doing?
Well, definitely glad to I know a lot about hurricanes, being from Louisiana. Right. So hoping all is well there, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm getting the IndyCar itch bad. I'm missing it. I was looking down at my phone yesterday, and I was like, all right, yeah, we got racing this weekend, and I didn't realize that it was actually next weekend that we'll be in St. Louis. Shout out to the Lou. So I'm getting the itch. I mean, NASCAR will be back this weekend, but little scratch there. But times are changing, like you said. School's starting back. Home schedules are flipping. You've got some other things going on. So we're just we're taking it one day at a time, and we're making the best of it, just like we're doing right now. And I'm excited. I'm ready to talk about all that's been going down this week, and ready to maybe chop up a little bit of early, way too early racing talk prediction. Maybe way too early.
Not
prediction.
Yet. No, we're not predicting anything yet because what we've seen in the news this week, we don't even know who's probably going to be driving there at St. Louis. So St. Louis is coming up. Some news to talk about. Let's get into it. Probably not a super long show today because the interview was a little bit longer, and we just want to get to some IndyCar news for everyone. And thankfully, we were recording on a Wednesday because all the news came out today. So if we would have recorded yesterday, you wouldn't have not known any of the news, or except unless you watched the Twitters. So the Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan team announced today that Yuri Vips is going to be back in a fourth car at the Portland race. And so obviously that probably makes the most sense for Yuri. He's not an oval guy yet. So one more road course left. Let's put him in there. Bobby Ray Hall has said many times that they're big fans of Yuri Vips. Nice guy, Yuri. He's always been around.
Great name.
Hanging out. And so very curious to see how that goes. If I'm Pietro Fittipaldi, who's a friend of the show, I'm sure Pietro will be looking to beat Yuri, because Pietro's had a tough run. There's no doubt about it. He's had a tough couple races. He's kind of on that edge of top 22 in owner points. So Pietro hopes to have a really strong finish to the season. He wants to obviously beat the added driver. There is a seat available there at RLL next year. So someone is going to be competing for that. Yuri wants to prove his worth yet again. And then also today, the Juncos Hollinger Racing team announced that they have parted ways with Agustin Canapino. Augustine, friend of the show, he's been on our show before. Great dude. I think there's a lot of chat about that because obviously I was in that car last week. There's no hiding that one. We didn't really talk much about it because, again, it was meant to be me evaluating what's going on there. I obviously have done pretty well at St. Louis before. Despite what I've visited a couple different Twitter pages there, people still forgot that I, have had success in my career. Who would have thought? People that live in alternate realities, which we've found out is on Twitter a lot. But anyway, in the real world, which is where we are currently, went to test for the Juncos Hollinger team, which is, again, a lot of people that I know. A lot of the Carlin folks are there from when I was on pole with those guys, and great people. So that's a situation that really probably can't get into much of, other than we can talk about the test. So I think Agustin Canapino has to be really proud of what he did in IndyCar. I think coming from a completely different world, a completely different racing series, I think he has to be very proud of what he has done, what he accomplished, and you know what? I have no doubt he will be racing back in Argentina very, very soon, right? I could see him being, winning more and more championships down there as well. But that team is obviously, they're fighting for that leader circle, that extra $1 million. So who knows what will be going on there? Are we even surprised at this point? I feel like we've had so many changes this year. Are we? I don't know if the listeners out there, it's you don't ever want to get desensitized to the amount of change that's happened in 2024. But I mean, you've been in this thing for so long. I mean, is this the year, out of all the years you can remember, has this been one of the craziest years as far as driver's seat? Yeah, I truly believe it has. It's very unusual, and I hope it is not like this in the future. I hope that the drivers that are signed to the teams, finish out the years and they do what they can do. But I guess it just goes to show how important this $1 million is, how important the points are, for these teams. We're in a very just volatile time in IndyCar. Volatile is the only word I can describe it with. And you know what? We shall see what happens. I really enjoyed working with that Juncos team. Ricardo is obviously, I won his first championship for him in car racing in 2010 with one of those helmets behind me there. And the test went really well. There was a couple articles that said the Andretti cars were the top three, and then I was fourth. But there was a lap that I was on that was very good. We came out at 2 on a 25.3, which was the fastest time there was a 23 or 25.5 or 4, I believe a high 4. And turn 3, 4 now is fully flat out, easy flat. And sometimes you make a downshift 6 to 5th, full throttle downshift like you would at Indy in a qualifying run. And when we downshifted, somehow we got into the hard limiter. So we lost about 8 mile an hour, which meant that we did a 25.5, which was 4th quickest. It's all still within the same 10th of P1, but we kind of know that we were, I would say, again, no one wins testing, but and no one knows what's going on, but we never lifted, just had a bit of a technical difficulty, which prevented us from being on the timesheets as P1, but it was a really good day. 206 laps. Sadly, Grosjean, he had a bit of an accident during the day, but he was great to work with. I know people have a lot of different opinions about Grosjean, but great to work with him. He was quick. He was pushing me all day, and I think it was just great to work with those guys. So again, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how it goes. We can talk a little bit about how the race might be, though. Let's talk a little bit about what I was experiencing there. So we had basically max downforce. We could use a ton of downforce, which a lot of people said maybe we should have had more downforce at Iowa. Maybe that would have made it better. The tire that we had, we only got to run one set of tires that was going to be the race set of tires for the race weekend. So don't have a ton of experience on the race tire yet. That might be a little bit different once we all kind of get more laps on them. Kyle Kirkwood got a lot of flack for his comments after the test, which Kyle Kirkwood is a smart guy. He's a race winner. He's very fast. I followed Kyle for a little bit around Gateway at the test, saw what was going on there, and there is not a ton of degradation. So when it comes to the overtaking, the raceability of the car, I mean, I don't think Kyle should be. Why shouldn't Kyle be honest about what he felt? Like, does it seem right now like it will be the best race? No, I don't think so. But we still have time. I believe that there are a lot of people who, now this is a different world, but a lot of people thought the IMS NASCAR Xfinity race was going to suck. And it was great. So I think very recently we've seen people who think they might know what's going on, and then all of a sudden we all kind of surprise ourselves. Part of me thinks that Gateway might be one of those surprises, because although there wasn't as much deg, there wasn't actually a ton of marbling that I could see on the higher lines. So that might invite more people up there to try to create something, to create a move. And there's still something about St. Louis that I just like the way it races. So we'll see what happens. It is a great track.
And it's also a night race, too.
It is a night race, yes. It's
on a
sort
Saturday.
of a night race. It's like
not a Sunday, on a Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday evening race. It's not going to be fully dark, I don't think. But yeah,
how much is that going to change the racing, though? I know in NASCAR it's going to do a lot. I know it should do a lot in IndyCar. Like, I mean, what are these big things we should look at?
Well, I think the whole benefit to a night race is just cooler temperatures, a little bit more grip. And that's going to be helpful, we hope, for the race. So I don't want to say anything yet, because I obviously don't know what it's going to look like. And when you get 27 cars there instead of 9, there were only 9 cars there. The 20 car crashed again. That was a shame to see for Christian Rasmussen. Christian Rasmussen was in that car instead of Ed Carpenter. They had a crash, which was a shame to see. They've crashed a lot of cars. That is wild. And then Grosjean crashed as well. Just a bit of a shunt. So we will have some predictions next week. Maybe the picture will be clear about who is actually participating in that event. And we'll go from there. So that's kind of what's going on the IndyCar scene right now. There's a couple other things I wanted to talk about real quickly before we get to the Teddy Chairs interview. But there was, this is kind of funny, but I had noticed, like, during summer break, there's been some great summer break Instagram posts. There's been some great summer break Twitterings. Alex Rossi has been doing horse stuff. He's been, like, down with race horses, probably doing some gambling, maybe some drinking, who knows. But his thumb looks great. We saw that photos on the internet. People were, like, zooming in and screenshotting his thumb. I don't know how I think it's probably because I go too deep into the hater accounts on Twitter, that, like, random just accounts appear on my For You page now on Twitter, where it's like, I don't know who any of these people are. They're not even racing media, but it's like people that tweet screenshots of drivers, like, doing stuff. And it's like, oh, that's kind of odd, but here I am. You
got the let the hate flow through you algorithm going on right now.
So when I'm not seeing people throw stuff at me because they don't live in the actual real world, there was, I don't know if people saw this, but there was, like, this Excel spreadsheet of, like, listing IndyCar drivers from, like, 1 to 33 or 1 to 42, and I had seen a couple of these just pop up because people just went after it. It's very funny to see people start, like, trying to list all their favorite drivers in numerical order, because, boy, will it really deflate you sometimes or make you feel great. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I'm interested. I'm invested in this right now.
No, so
what is this list?
I think I read a couple where I was like, all right, interesting. But it was just one of those things that I dove deep into, and I found a couple, like, that I'm like, well, Santino Ferrucci was last in a lot of them. And look, that's not me. That's not me. I didn't make one of these lists. But I noticed that, like, all of a sudden you'd be like, well, how there are some drivers in the middle where you're like, well, they haven't even done any, like, they've done one race, and all of a sudden, boom, there we are. So again, I think
Who makes these lists?
I think it was very creative of whoever started this list to go through this and just start listing these people out. But you know what? And then I started looking at it, and I was like, well, why am I below? Like, how? Like, like I found one list that like Scott McLaughlin and I were like way down in the 30s. And I was like, well, Scott, okay, I understand. But I was like, what? And it's like, you know what? No, it's okay. Because I love this. I think this is great because it gets conversations going. I have tons of people who hate me. I literally don't care. I think it's awesome. If you hate me, that's tremendous because that means you must care about our sport in some way, which is great. But I just thought it was an interest. So kudos to the fans for making that happen, for doing that. I thought that was really interesting. So yeah, Chase, did you see any? You got to go study some of those lists.
No,
when
you're
you
going to have to send me the
internet.
links, man. I need to see these sheets because I want to know. I want to know what the lists are. I want to know who makes the list. It's like it's. I guess it's good that they're not like actually in charge of like driver best to worst, in the official count, say. But you're completely right. Like the more conversation that you can get about it, the better.
If anyone that throws these weird, hateful comments about me on the internet was right, I wouldn't still be around.
Yeah.
So like that, I actually thought about this statement recently. Like, if any one of those people that live in an alternate reality were actually right, then I wouldn't be hired to drive cars. Like, I wouldn't have Dennis Reinbold saying he believes I can win the Indy 500. That wouldn't happen. That means that you're not living in the real world. So again,
they're not having those
conversations.
That
opinion. But if that was right, then I would be gone. I would just be doing, I don't know, lawn work or some random architecturally, structural rigidity building things. I don't know, or television. Who knows? But
car
here
construction.
I am, still a race car driver, and I think I know what I'm doing. So here we are.
I want to see more. I want to see more people designing cool concepts for the Dallara as far as like paint jobs go. Like I want to see some like really cool.
We need a throwback race.
Liveries. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Is that a good way to say it? Livery.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I like paint job, but paint job. I want to see some concepts.
Yeah. So anyway, let's. I want to roll into our Teddy Chairs interview. We'll talk a little bit about some things afterwards, but let's get right into Teddy because it's a great interview and I think everyone will really enjoy it. So. McLaren, maybe, I don't know, reserve IndyCar driver, a fly-in guy, Teddy Chairs,
Spider-Man meme
Theo
Lord.
Pourchaire, Spider-Man meme guy, Theo Pourchaire. Folks, this week we are still in our summer break, so we are trying to make sure we keep everyone entertained. Since this is an IndyCar show, we have an IndyCar driver here with us, a pretty fresh IndyCar driver, a Formula 2 champion. That's a big deal. That's very cool and very hard to do. That is a very competitive championship. A young driver, which makes me feel old because I'm looking at all your stats on Wikipedia. And I'm like, oh, man, I was in F3 in 2013, and like you're doing it in 2020. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is a tough scene. So, Theo Pourchaire, welcome to the show. Also, everyone calls you Teddy. Is that correct? Are we fine to call you Teddy? Do you like that?
Yeah, I like that. Like when American people call me Teddy. It's my nickname here in America, so it's fine.
Have you been called Teddy Chairs? I have to know. Has anyone personally walked up to you and been like, Teddy Chairs?
Yeah. You know what? Once I was
That might have been us, by the way. We might have started that. Sorry.
Sure. I was in Indianapolis downtown going for an after-race Shake Shack because I was hungry. And I was on a small scooter, a Lime. And in the street, I was going to the fast food and somebody just said, Teddy Pork Chop like this. I was like, no way. No way now people are calling me like this. But it's fun. I enjoyed a lot my experience there. So, yeah.
Well, if there's one thing we know about America, we love a good nickname. That is for sure. If you got a good nickname, that will go on forever. I certainly have enjoyed. Teddy's fun to say too. I'm not gonna lie. Now, and we don't want to mispronounce any French names. I took French for 3 years. I drove for ART for 2 years. Yeah. So like, I know the program over there. But let's get into a little bit about you and your career, how you even ended up over here in the States, and if you might come back. But obviously, growing up, who was your, like, let's talk about, okay, the road to Formula One, right? You're going to go to Formula One. We're doing the whole F4, F3, F2. You're going through the ladder system. Second in F3, right? And then F2, boom, second again, and then come back and win the championship. So always at the front. Who did you look up to when you were a young lad, just kind of going through that Formula One ladder system?
I think, I was looking at the best drivers at the time. First, I would say when I was younger, when I was driving in go-kart, I was looking at Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso. That was my, they were my two heroes. And then Hamilton started winning again a lot. Verstappen as well. When I was in F3, F2, I was on the same race weekend as those guys, as Lewis Hamilton, as Max Verstappen. So, looking at them, their races, and they're so professional and so passionate about their sport. Wanted to be like them. So still want to be like them. So and yeah, I would say the top guys always. I'm looking at the best.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, when you get to F2, you did 3 years at F2. Is that correct? Like,
yeah.
Because I did 3 in F3, and some people kind of randomly thought that was tough. But like, I learned a ton my first year, and then came back, and you are very competitive. But that third year, you win the championship, and like that was my goal.
Yeah.
Third year, win the championship. You did it. I got wrecked. But well, that's the goal. But did you feel like those 3 years really solidified you as a driver and what you learned and the amount of drivers that you had to compete with? And when you win the championship, no one asks questions. It's like, hey, 3 years, yep, but we're the winner. Like, we're the best now. So that, I feel like that's a good move.
Sure. I mean, a lot of people said, that 3 years was too much to win a championship, but it's not like my first season was terrible. My second was just a little bit better. And then the third, I won the championship. But I started in F2. I was the youngest ever race winner there, and pole sitter in Monaco. I finished the season in 5th position, which is okay. I would say,
it's good.
It's great. It's not. Of course, I want to win every season, every race is like every other racing drivers. But you have to sometimes you have some issues. I got injured during this season on my left wrist. So in Baku, in a small accident, we don't have power steering. We just saw that with Rossi in Toronto, for example. You can injure yourself really easily. That happened to me in my first F2 season. Second one, I had a lot of engine failures, a lot of issues. I did some mistakes as well from my side. Still ended up P2 vice champion, which is good. And then the third one, was, I think, still the 6th youngest driver on the grid. So that was really good from my side, to be each time really young. I was learning quick, so that's why, I was going from really quick from F4 to F3 and from F3 to F2. And in the end, I think it was a good choice, because I ended up finishing first in F2 in my third season. And that, opened a lot of opportunities for me, a little bit in Japan, in Indycar. I'm still a reserve driver in F1 as well. Of course, right now, if I'm honest, I would love to be racing because I'm just passionate about this. And since I'm young, I want to drive. I just like that, I just love driving. So,
Yeah, I mean, you're in a tough spot. You're in one of those positions where we've seen this before, right? The best, right? You win the F2 championship, and there might not be any openings in Formula One, right? Or there might be the wrong place, the wrong time, or the right place at the wrong time. Tell people kind of what that's like to deal with, because realistically, that would be the next step. And in the ladder system, the F2 champion, realistically, yes, you should be able to go to F1 because that's what you are supposed to win before you get to F1. But how difficult has that been to try to navigate the world of the F1 politics, of the openings and not openings and everything that goes into that?
Yeah, it's tough because, as you said, I won the F2, which is, the last step before F1. Everybody is looking at the Formula 2 drivers in the F1 paddock, which ones are going to drive for, in F1 for the next few years. But I felt like I was considered, but not that much, and that hurts quite a lot because it's it
doesn't make sense. It's like, well, how is that possible? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Because for me, I gave my best. I just tried my best, and of course, I won the championship in the last race, but it's a tough championship, like IndyCar, like every other championship on the planet. It's really competitive, and there are a lot of good racing drivers. So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough positions because also I'm young, and one of my dream was to be an F1 driver. And right now, of course, I just want to drive. I just want to drive race cars. I had a good taste at IndyCar, and IndyCar is, for me, that's what I want to do. That's why I love motorsport. It's Formula One, it's IndyCar, it's Formula 2. Those series. It's really competitive. I like hard racing, a great physical challenge, mentally really, really difficult as well when it's, a very long race, when it's hot in the car, when you do 5-6 pit stops, and, that's what I like. And right now I'm in this position, I just want to find a drive and enjoy what I'm doing.
Now, do you think right now the Formula One, is that a closed door, do you think? Or is it, if the right situation pops up and someone says, hey, we're gonna give you a chance? It's tough to say because you never want to close that door. I literally hung on to it myself. I know how that goes. Like you become very close. But is it something to where once you've experienced IndyCar, you're like, hey, I'm going to live out my, do the reserve driver thing. We're going to play it out, but then try to focus your efforts on something over here in the States?
I think the door is not closed yet, but it's Formula One. You never know what can happen in this in this world, in the Formula One world, and you see crazy things happening. So I still believe I probably deserve a chance, at least a chance, just to show myself. But I don't consider IndyCar as a plan B. For me.
Yes, yeah.
IndyCar is I'm really honest saying that I really enjoyed it. I just did 5.5 races, let's say. In Toronto it was half a race, but I loved it. I really loved it, and even if I was supposed to finish the season, and unfortunately we couldn't make it with Aero McLaren. It was an amazing experience, and I really enjoyed it.
So let's talk a little bit about that, I guess, the transition over to IndyCar. Did you follow IndyCar much, like, as you're going through this year? Like, did you, obviously, big time difference. So, when you're traveling the world racing at F2 and stuff, it's maybe difficult to watch the races, but did you try to pay attention to everything that kind of was going on in this world over here?
I was watching every year the Indianapolis 500, of course. And then I started to follow a little bit more IndyCar since Christian Lundgaard arrived here, because he was my teammate in 2021 in Formula 2. So, we stayed in contact, and we're friends. So, it's cool to see him. I was happy to see him go over here in America, and driving in IndyCar. And the championship looked really nice. The races are really interesting. That's why it's really cool in my opinion. But just following IndyCar quite a lot the last few years. So I was interested.
I love that. I'm going to let Chase jump in after this question, but because I have so much that I want to ask about the IndyCar transition. I love hearing people's first reactions to it, because it's a totally different world, and it's tough. Would you say when you got in let's say after your first two races, after the first two races in the championship, were you surprised at how tough it was overall? Competition, physicality, intensity, the strategy, everything in general, was that a surprise to you at all?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a surprise, because I think overall in Europe, most of the people underestimate the level of IndyCar.
1,000%, yes.
I completely agree, and the competitiveness of the championship is crazy in my opinion. There is so much little details you have to improve, or you have to do well just to to, I don't know, for example, my first quali when I went it was in Long Beach. I didn't know the track, didn't know the car, but
tough track, tough place to start.
Tough place to start. And the second race was Barber, completely different. So
my first IndyCar street race was also Long Beach as well. Way back in the year of 2015. But that was my first street race too, so I feel you.
It was a really cool track, really cool place to do it. But I remember there was like, I don't know, the time difference to go from the first round to the second round of quali was so small. But I was like, I don't know where's the time. I don't know where is it. But it's a really competitive championship, and that's why I like it, because you drive probably the second fastest cars in the world after F1. With almost the best drivers in the world, and on difficult racetracks as well. Compared to the tracks in the F1 calendar, I can tell you there are much more bumps, closer walls to the track. But I like it, so it was fun.
Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say IndyCar maybe a little bit tougher. So good to hear. Good to hear. I wanted to talk to you a little bit kind of about your journey. You were mentioning loosely about McLaren and definitely had like some ups and downs. There was a moment that happened though, not too long ago. I get on my X feed one morning and I'm scrolling and I just see this picture from McLaren and I guess it's just I guess it was just kind of like the humor in it, the Spider-Man meme. Can you talk a little bit about that day when you guys were all together in the room and you were all doing the
hilarious.
Spider-Man meme?
that was a great moment.
Like when you can laugh at yourself, that's pretty awesome. So I have a lot of respect for that. I just kind of wanted to ask you about that day and kind of how the experience has been and who's kind of been your maybe one person you're leaning on over there at McLaren or that you've gotten really close with.
Sure. I mean, at first that was David Baluka's idea. So. It was a cool idea, He is a really fun guy, and so he decided to tell the team we should do this picture. I was like, it's a good idea,
Sure, yeah.
And it was probably 15 minutes before the start of the parade, before the race. So it was really short amount of time before the all the activities before the race. So but that was fun, and speaking on McLaren, Aero McLaren, the team, I know them very well right now. And when I came back from for Toronto for the quali, so I arrived probably an hour before quali with a lot of jet lag. And I was so tired, but everybody was really happy to see me in the team, and I was really happy to see them again. I was, it felt like I didn't leave the team, which was really good to see. And it feels like, they are friends to me now, because that's mainly the only people I know in the IndyCar paddock. So when I go there, I know them very well, and it feels good.
Awesome.
There are some great people at that organization. Several people that I have worked with before, and they truly have hired like just good overall human beings, but also very talented people. So that's really cool to hear. Let's talk a little bit about Tony Kanaan, because Tony has been the chief of the driver whiteboard over there with like who is going to go where, it seems like, and there's been a lot of decision making. But I noticed that every time that there's like a public statement, like obviously there was some wild stuff thrown around a couple weeks ago about you in an article, and I'm like, hang on a second, let's not overreact to things, guys. Like, he's just a driver getting asked about what's going on in his racing career. Like, come on, let's go easy on this guy. But Tony always says, like, he's like, stick to the plan, right? So is there, I noticed he said something but you obviously still have a good relationship with those guys. They have, they have plans that are probably, way more than we know about. But is your plan right now just to be like, hey, I'm on call if need be, or are you going to attend any of the IndyCar races with them, or kind of come hang out, or what's your plan?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remain available for them in case they have an issue, like in Toronto. So as we know, IndyCar is a really difficult championship, hard racing. Sometimes, without the power steering, the people, from the outside, you don't really notice it, but it's really, really hard physically if you don't remove your hands from the steering wheel before hitting a wall, or just, banging wheels with another car. You can broke your hand, broke your fingers, I don't know. But so it's very, very terrible on that side. But so I remain available. I hope all the drivers stays healthy, but I'm still in contact with them. And of course, if there is an opportunity, I'm here. As I said, I want to drive, so I remain available and ready, even if it's a tough task. Like in Toronto, it was really tough. But yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize how hard that is to just get in. It doesn't matter who you are as a driver. Like, I got in the Shank car last year when Simon got hurt, like, for the warm-up in the race. It doesn't matter how prepared you are. Like, when everyone's had a couple sessions on you, like, and again, you went through that race, and there was, chaos happening in that race. The cars flipping upside down. I mean, honestly, solid day. Even, like, you had some chaos, too, racing with some people that, you ended up on the wall. Other people ended up on the wall.
Sure.
Still finished the race, though. But, like, that I'm trying to figure out, have any other teams asked you if you're available yet? Like, because you've, I think, made a good impact, and you've certainly had some great qualifying performances, some solid races. And again, in 5 races, that's really hard to judge someone in a whole new world. This is a very difficult world. I know. But have other teams been like, hey, snooping around at all? Has there been some interest, do you think?
Sure. I've been in talks with some other teams, and mainly looking forward to next season. Because, as I said, if I don't have an opportunity in Formula One, Indycar is really something I want to do. So that's a championship I love, as I said. So I talked with a few teams, and let's see, for next year. But as I said, nothing is signed yet. Nothing is 100% sure. But there are some good talks. So I'm happy. I just want to see which opportunity is the best, which teams want me, really, of course, as well. It's important. And
you got to make money. You got to be able to make money. You got to put food on the table. You got to put food on the table.
True. That's really important at the end of the day. But I do it for the passion first, because I love it. I love this sport. But of course, I'm not super rich, and sometimes I just want to.
Hey, we shouldn't do this for free.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, this is what, like, I mean, I've done it a lot. I've done it way too much for free, but like this is also our job. We put in a lot of work. You work every day in the gym to be an athlete and to perform. So I feel you. Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I admire that a ton, man. Like, having passion for what you're doing, it adds an extra layer to the competition side of things, I feel like, because you never feel like you're doing a job any day. You're out there doing exactly what you want to do. So a lot of respect for that. I wanted to talk a little bit about Teddy off the track. You're in America now. What has been your favorite fast food experience in America now, the land of fast food? What is your
You're a Shake Shack guy, apparently.
Yeah, you like Shake Shack. Anything else? Any other interesting developments?
Shake Shack is very good, but I like Chick-fil-A also. Chick-fil-A is a nice one.
Is there no Chick-fil-A in France?
No Chick-fil-A in France, unfortunately. That's terrible.
Man.
That's terrible.
Wow. Have you went there on a Sunday yet?
Yeah, Sunday is closed, no?
Yeah.
Exactly. I was saying, did you try to pull up on a Sunday?
Yeah, but that's terrible. I have to tell the Chick-fil-A's boss to open on Sunday.
After a race. Sometimes after a race, you want a Chick-fil-A.
Exactly.
I'll have to get some meetings so you can tell them.
True. Exactly. But otherwise, I love the American culture. When I was in Indy, the first few weeks, there was the NBA playoff. I'm a huge basketball fan. So I've been to 3 games, watching the playoff. It was amazing, and also enjoying discovering the city, visiting Chicago. I went to New York as well. Tried to visit a little bit because it's far from my house. It's a new country, so it's a cool experience for me as well. Discovering Indycar is amazing, and also discovering the American culture, the country. I enjoyed it, so it was a cool experience.
Did you hang around during May much at all, too? Did you see any of the Indy 500 festivities? I am blanking on whether or not which timeline of driver was where, but you were hanging out for Indy, right?
Yeah, I was there during the month of May. And
what was that experience like? Tell me, because I assume you had not been before, right?
Never. That was my first time. And to be honest, there's nothing similar in the world. There's nothing similar, nothing on the same level. It's and I've been to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, to the Monaco Grand Prix. Those two are really cool. It's an amazing experience.
For sure.
But the Indy 500 is, you have to experience that once in your life, and I'm happy I did it as a spectator as well, because you have to do it. You have to do it. I'm sure you are, of course, as a driver, I was disappointed because I won a race. You know, you see the pressure, the trophy, the race is exciting, but you know, as a spectator, you have all the festivities, and from the outside, the race was excellent as well. You know, biting until the penultimate corner was unbelievable. So to be honest, as I said, if there are some European people or American people that never went to the Indy 500, you have to go for sure. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
I agree. Now, you did get an oval test though, right? So what was your first oval test like? It was at St. Louis, right? Gateway?
Exactly. I did St. Louis, and I did one hybrid test in Milwaukee.
Oh, nice. Okay, so how was it? What did you think of your first dive into the oval world?
It's different. Again, I would say a different sport.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
a different art, perhaps.
Exactly. Yeah, it's. But I really enjoyed it. The first few laps, I was a bit lost and a bit, stressed. Trying to grab the steering wheel as hard as possible.
It's hard, isn't it? St. Louis is hard. I just tested there.
Exactly.
With the car heavier now, it's hard.
It's tough. But it's cool. And I feel like the racing is great because, you know, it's a lot of strategy, and it's a lot of, speaking with your race engineer, what you want about the car. And what the team told me was the setup of the car is super important. You need to really good setup. If you want to go fast, you cannot overdrive the car on an oval. You need a lot of confidence with the rear axle as well to push hard. So it's a lot about discussion with the team and a lot of feedback, giving a lot of feedback about the car. So I liked it, and unfortunately I was close to do my first oval race, but I'm sure it will come for sure in my career. So
yeah. I mean, it does seem like obviously next year on the IndyCar landscape, it's going to be very different. You know, with the charter system, maybe some more teams, maybe some teams having less cars, so that there's all kinds of drama in the off season. But it does seem like hopefully McLaren will either point you in the right direction or take care of you in some way, or there's another team out there that's like, hey, we saw this guy come in and perform. Obviously, I'm also looking at like what's going on in the stratosphere of drivers, but it would be cool to see you get that season, right? Get a full season under your belt, be able to learn the ovals, do the Indy 500, right? Because McLaren, great cars at Indy. If you ended up at McLaren,
sure.
I don't know if that's possible, but who knows? But is that, you want to be racing, but is there an opportunity where maybe there's a sports car seat and you're like, hey, I'm going to do this for a year if I have to wait for something else? Like, because that's really hard to think about. But like some people are like, okay, if there's an opportunity maybe for 2026, I have to find something else to do in the meantime. Or like, what do you think about that situation?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the ideal for me would
like Callum Ilott right now, right? He's doing the Jota thing, trying to stay busy, you know what I mean? And then still dabbled in a bit of IndyCar, yeah.
Exactly, yeah, that would be for sure an option. But the ideal plan would be to drive for sure still in single seaters or IndyCar F1 for sure. Yep. It's a dream, but sports car, I'm looking to it as well. It's very competitive nowadays with the LMDH, and the WEC now is really nice as well. The IMSA is good. A lot of manufacturers and a lot of good drivers, so it's for sure an option. It's for sure an option.
All right, I'm going to have one more question. Chase, you have one more question? I'm going to get one more question as well. Do we both have one last question for Teddy here before? I've told him it was about 30 minutes, so I don't want to take up too much of his time. He's in France. They got the Olympics and cool stuff probably happening over there.
Oh, yeah. No, I did want to ask you this. Like, you're from France, so that obviously, for me, anytime I hear somebody from France or meet somebody from France, I have to ask them if they've ever been. I'm from the New Orleans area. So based on France. Have you ever been in New Orleans? Ever got to check it out?
I've never been to New Orleans, but it's Louisiana, right? No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
nailed it.
yeah, exactly. So it's French. I know.
Very French.
Exactly. I know. I'm looking a lot at the UFC, and if I'm right, Dustin Poirier is from there. He's half French, half American.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I know that.
Yo, get all down here. They'll take you see old Mr. Dustin, dude. We'll have a good time.
I need to visit New Orleans for sure. And I'm a huge NBA fan, so I know there's the NBA team. That's perfect for me. So.
Oh, yeah. You come see Zion play, man.
Exactly.
Zion Williamson, you're a big NBA. I love hearing this about you, too. Like, Teddy Sports, dude. I mean, that's a new nickname
Teddy
we're going to put in here.
Teddy Sports. I like that.
Yeah.
Teddy Sports is a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. So, Teddy, one last question. I know that you enjoyed the Indy scene. You were here. You went to NBA games. Talk to a little bit about the IndyCar fan base. I think we've got a really passionate fan base and folks that are really supportive. Was it? And now there was some times where you got some stuff thrown at you there on the internet with a little bit of a Detroit coming together, which again I think was absurd. I would ask about that, but maybe I won't.
Internet's
but
a fun
other than
place.
that, other than that, was the fan base obviously? Did you feel very welcome? Did you feel like it was, hey, they might not have known who you were until you got over here, but was it cool to interact with a lot of the IndyCar fan base over here?
Yeah, if I have to say something to the fans, is just thank you. You know, that was amazing. The way the fans behave on the racetrack. They are in IndyCar, you know, everything is open to the people, a lot more than in Formula 2 and Formula 1. They're able to see the drivers, they're able to see the cars going to the grid. That's so cool, and the people are really respectful. You know, if you do that, in my opinion, in Europe, don't think it's going to be that good. Just big thank you to the fans. You know, I really enjoyed it, and at first they didn't know me so well because I was coming from Europe. Some of the true motorsport fans knew that I was an F2 champion, but the most of them, they were here trying to know me, and that was super cool, you know. And as I said, really respectful fan base. So I want to come back for that, you know.
I love that. I love to hear that. Oh, real quick, Alexander Rossi, Paddock as teammates. I mean, two very good drivers, like pretty impressive. Paddock is a psycho, right? He had crazy hands. He's wild.
Yeah.
He was a great interview on this show a couple weeks ago. And Alex Rossi might look like he wants to kill you at some point. Yeah. Is that right? Like what? How is it working with those guys?
Yeah, two different characters, I would say. You know? Really different. Paddock is a really fun and crazy guy, but and Alex as well. You know, he was really supportive and trying to help me when I arrived in the team. For my first oval test, he was there with me.
That's awesome.
You know, doing just a warm-up run for the car.
Shakedown, yeah.
Exactly, just to check if everything was fine. And so both of them, I really enjoyed working with those guys. And I'm still in contact with them, you know, texting them, and it's cool. It was a cool team, you know, for 5 races. I enjoyed a lot.
I love that. Well, that's good to hear. I appreciate you. Thanks for being. I honestly feel bad. I've tried to schedule this interview with Teddy here for a couple weeks, and I have had to cancel because I've all of a sudden been driving race cars. I had to fly and get my seat last week. Like, it's been a bit of a weird situation, but we appreciate you coming to hang out with us during this summer break because we don't have a ton of racing to talk about, so we want to have some fun conversation. So, Teddy, thank you so much, my friend, and I am pretty sure we will see you back in an IndyCar. If not, before the end of the year, at least hopefully next year.
Sure,
Yeah.
no
We want
worries.
to catch you at the track. We want to catch you at the track. They should try to be there for Nashville, my man.
Sure,
Yeah,
I
maybe
will.
the last race. Yeah,
I will try to be here for sure on one of the races before the end of the season. That's for sure.
Excellent. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
All right, folks. I really hope you enjoyed that one. I personally did. I think we're going to get some great response to that. I hope. We hope you're enjoying your summer break. Or if you're not on summer break, hope you enjoy watching the Olympics. I have been absolutely loving the Olympics. I am watching. It's on my television right now. It's on my television all day. Right now, artistic swimming, wrestling, water polo, and track and fields on my TV. How in the world are all four of those things on my television? Some wild stuff's been going on, but have really enjoyed it. So with that, Chase, wait, first of all, have you seen, did you watch your kayak racing or the canoe? That was wild. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah,
I saw some clips.
I got to catch some clips as well. Unfortunately, didn't get to watch it live. It's still been on my my MLB baseball bender the last 2 weeks. I'm ready to get off that. It's not being kind to me right now, but I did see that the kayak cross events. I think I don't know if we had any Americans win.
That's all right.
It's okay.
That's all right.
We live to fight another day.
Indeed, we do. All right, so let's get to the random Indy 500 driver of the week because I forgot about a call I'm supposed to get on right now, and that's on me. I'm out here I'm terrible at scheduling things. Podcasts are supposed to be Tuesday. Business calls can be Wednesday sometimes, and now I've double booked.
It's a loose week.
Silly me. I've got to make this call. So let's get into the Ricky Treadway random Indy 500 driver of the week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. We'll make up the field.
All right, this year I wanted to go this year. I went more I went more recent. 1990. Chase, were you alive yet? Were you born in 1990 or when were you born?
That was 2 years before I graced the planet.
All right, yeah, 1 year before I was alive. So Arie Luyendyk won this race in the Domino's Pizza wagon, which is obviously a legendary wagon. But I went with the 16th place finisher, John Paul Jr. Now, I know this name, but maybe not as much as I could. Sadly, John Paul Jr. only recently passed away in 2020, but good driver, had quite a career. American Race Driver, he was in kart, Indy Racing League, but also primarily in the IMSA GT Championship, won the title in 1982. I believe my dad definitely knew John Paul Jr. So he won the 24 Hours of Daytona twice, which is pretty cool. And then the first of these, he co-drove with his dad, John Paul Sr., that's awesome. So yeah, lots of success in his career. John Paul Jr., I like to get more recent too, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who listen to this show who are like, yo, I remember that guy. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I think the 90s
cool.
will be good to bring to Ricky Treadway. You know what I mean? Like JPJ sounds like he had a great career, great guy.
Yeah, exactly. There's some wild stories in here about, there's a lot of wild stories. Like I'm reading through Wikipedia and there's talk of, incredible sports cars, but then also, like Paul Sr., like shot federal witness Stephen Caron, who would testify about Paul's illegal activities. And I'm like, what? So anyway, I would love to dive deeper into this. I don't know if Wikipedia
I have
is
a
right
plan. I need to know about this, Connor. So look, everybody that's listening to this right now, you have a homework assignment this week. Go online and research John Paul Jr. and the life of JPJ.
And maybe Senior, too, because there sounds like some stuff was going on here. And maybe I should know about this. Maybe I should know. I don't. But anyway, that's our episode this week. Next week is going to be very different. It's going to be real interesting. So let's see what happens. Can't wait. Can't wait to see what happens next week. We're going to have an IndyCar race to talk about finally. We're going back to the Oval, St. Louis. And we will see, there will be a change of seats. There will be a new driver of the 78 car. There will be some championship things going down. Will Joseph Newgarden win on an oval because he's the oval king? Who knows? Will Alex Palou finally be a victor on an oval? And there's just a lot of excitement. So, again, pay attention to the Twitter feed. It's wild out there today. It was wild last week when several people started to see that I was driving the 78 car to test. Boy, were they not wrong about those. There's some of that Twitter fire that starts getting shot at those who are anywhere near that number 78 car. So, very interesting. I understand it. I see it, but I'm used to it. So
it's going to be a great week.
Yeah, we shall see what happens. I know I tested a GT3 car at Road America. I will be racing that car in a couple times in the future, so that's going to be fun. We can maybe talk about that a little bit more next week, but for now, we appreciate everyone for listening to this. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, listen to the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, do all the things, and we'll see you next week. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.